Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Colin Marshall, and I serve as a Monmouth Assistant Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life and Student Engagement, as well as the advisor of Order of Omega, the Fraternity and Sorority Honor Society here at the college. I am joined today by the President of Order of Omega, Ms. Maddie Boley. As we begin, I would like to acknowledge several individuals from our campus community in attendance this morning. Members of the Monmouth College Board of Trustees, Dr. Pat Draves, the President of Monmouth College, and all of our fraternity and sorority alumni, and all of our undergraduate students and members of Order of Omega. Thank you all for joining us to recognize our incredible inductees and to celebrate as a campus community. Since the founding of Monmouth's first fraternity, Beta Theta Pi, in 1865, students have found their chosen families as members of Greek organizations at our beloved institution. Our chapters were founded upon the basic principles of scholarship, citizenship, leadership, sisterhood and brotherhood, and service unto others. Our current members continue to cherish these values and strive to model themselves after the examples given to us by all of those that came before. The Order of Omega Fraternity and Sorority Alumni Hall of Fame was established in 2015 as a means to honor and celebrate the accomplishments of our outstanding alumni. In your program, you will find the purpose of the Hall of Fame, the nomination and selection criteria, and the purpose of Order of Omega. Today, we proudly induct the Kappa class into the Fraternity and Sorority Alumni Hall of Fame. Kappa, the 10th letter of the Greek alphabet, symbolizes our 10th class of inductees. This year's induction class includes 3 outstanding individuals: Mr. Brian Holland of Alpha Tau Omega, Mr. Andrew Kerr of Zeta Beta Tau, and Mrs. Kristen Wise Wagner of Alpha Xi Delta. Before the official induction takes place, please join me in welcoming the President of Monmouth College, Dr. Pat Draves, to come up and offer some opening remarks.
Well, here we are on a beautiful day. So it is a blessing that is bestowed on us. Now, my introduction to Greek life was here at Monmouth College. I didn't know a whole lot. The college I went to didn't have Greek life, right? And so my introduction was through the students that were involved in Greek life that I had in the classroom. And I saw what it did to them right here on our campus. Build their confidence, build their leadership skills, build skills like conflict management and how you work together. And what does it mean to be a family, right, with people that are not blood related to you? And I have to say, since being back, I still see that with our sororities and fraternities today. I also have seen through our alumni the role and the friendships and the brotherhood and sisterhood that have lasted for decades and decades. And look around, right? You see them, and you can see people that have traveled from across the country and across the world to support their brothers and sisters in Greek life. So I am so honored that our campus has a long history of supporting Greek life, our alumni that continue to support our students as they expand and learn about Greek life and the role that it plays. But one of the things I think we probably undersell is how it prepares them really to be great professionals and some of the skills that they learn there, but also good citizens, whether that's through being a good parent, whether it's serving their churches, serving their communities. And so I'm honored to be part of today's ceremony to recognize people that really embody what we try to do each and every day through Greek life and fulfilling the mission. So congratulations, but we're gonna say a little more about each one of you throughout the day. So Cullen, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, President Graves. In order to hear from our current undergraduates, it is now my pleasure to introduce Order of Omega President Maddie Bully to the podium to offer her opening remarks and a note about the stole of Order of Omega.
Good morning. My name is Maddie Bully, and I serve as the president of Order of Omega and Blue Key Honor Societies, the membership vice president of Alpha Xi Delta, and a member of the track and field team on campus. It's great to see everyone here to celebrate the newest inductees into the Fraternity and Sorority Alumni Hall of Fame and learn about how their lives were impacted as a result of their involvement in their chapter. In my opinion, one of the most rewarding aspects of fraternity and sorority life at Monmouth College is the opportunity to work with such exceptional individuals from numerous decades and walks of life. Though each chapter differs in its individual experiences, all Greeks on this campus, past and present, are given the opportunity to develop into well-rounded and responsible leaders. This is evident not only in the active members, but also in the outstanding alumni who are here today. They will share their stories of growth and appreciation for their undergraduate experience and how they were able to transfer skills learned in their collegiate leadership roles into their successful careers. Thank you all for being here today to show your support of our Greek organizations and especially our 3 honorees. I will now call upon each of our inductees, Brian, Andy, and Kristen, to step forward and stand behind your individual plaques for the induction ceremony. Each of you was chosen for this esteemed privilege because of the honor you have brought upon our fraternity and sorority community, both as undergraduates and alumni. Upon your shoulders rests the stole of Order of Omega, which is worn on formal occasions. Those privileged to wear this stole express their understanding that though our customs vary as symbolized by our individual Greek letters, the overall goals of fraternity life are the common ideals expressed in the final letter of the Greek alphabet, Omega. The Omega is open at the bottom, reminding us that values established during our undergraduate years remain with us beyond that brief period, contributing deeper meaning to associations and commitments formed later in life.
Here before you is the Fraternity and Sorority Life Unity Candle. This candle is used during formal programs indicating the presence and unity of the interfraternal community. For your commitment to the values of your organization, for modeling good stewardship in your private and professional lives, and for representing the very best of what Monmouth College hopes for all of our graduates, I ask you now to light a taper from your individual chapter candle represented by your chapter's colors.
Unity.
This is the second year in a row we've done that, so it's become a new tradition. Together, representing the Kappa class of the Fraternity and Sorority Alumni Hall of Fame, I ask you to light the Fraternity Unity Candle in unison, symbolizing your induction and celebrating our fraternalism, your accomplishments, and our optimism for the future. Let it be known that you are officially inducted into the Fraternity and Sorority Hall of Fame Eternal. Each of you has laid a strong foundation for future inductions. May you always be warmed by the thanks and appreciation of the family and friends you represent. You may now be seated. To introduce our first inductee, Mr. Brian Holland, please welcome to the podium Mr. Jim White, class of 1977.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce a truly exceptional individual for induction into the Order of Omega Fraternity Hall of Fame. Brian Holland served as president of the Alpha Tau Omega Fraternity during the years of 1975 through 76, and his legacy is one that continues to inspire us. Brian's tenure as president was marked by his ability to balance fun with responsibility. His calm and composed manner were not just a personal trait, but a guiding force that ensured our fraternity could enjoy all the benefits of brotherhood while keeping our goal of an education firmly in view. He managed to create an environment where we could all let loose and have a fun time, yet always with a respectful awareness of why we were here to earn a meaningful education at Monmouth College. Beyond his leadership, Brian is known for his extraordinary intelligence and outgoing personality, no laughing over there, and outgoing personality. His respect for others and his genuine kindness set a standard for all of us. His hearty, infectious laugh is something many of us remember today. It's a constant reminder of his vibrant spirit and the joy he brought to our fraternity. Today, as we honor Brian's legacy by inducting him into the Hall of Fame, we celebrate not just his achievements, but the spirit he has ingrained in all of us. Brian exemplifies what it means to be a great leader, a loving husband, father, cherished friend, and true brother. Please join me in recognizing an individual who left an enduring impact on our lives and our fraternity, Brian Holland.
Thank you very much, Jim. President Graves, fellow ATOs, and other Greeks and guests. I also want to recognize my wife, Carrie, who I would not have met had it not been for my ATO little sister, Pam Wyeth, who was her cousin. Didn't meet her till after we were done at college, but that connection was still there. And I would especially like to thank the Order of Omega and the Fraternity and Sorority Hall of Fame for this very unexpected honor. The Fraternity and Sorority Hall of Fame did not exist at Monmouth College when I graduated in 1976, so you can imagine my surprise when I was contacted about this honor. When I enrolled in 1972, the freshman dorm was Graham Hall, which is located right across the street from the old ATO house, the house on the hill. We had a large pledge class, many of whom had also lived in Graham Hall. And I then lived at the ATO house my next 3 years at Monmouth. We had an interesting mix of people in the house, including many from Chicago and the suburbs, Peoria and St. Louis area, a noticeable group from out east, and then a lot of people like me that grew up in the Monmouth area. You really get to know people when you live in the same house with them 24/7. I would especially like to mention Mike Dean, who preceded me as worthy master of the house, and Jim White, who followed me. The advice, support, and assistance that I got from both of them reinforced for me the importance of communication and continuity in preserving an organization, whether it be a fraternity, a business, a college, or a different type of organization. The close ties that were developed with my fraternity brothers during those years, although we were hardly thinking of it at the time, formed the basis of many long-term friendships. During my time at the house, our conversations were usually about girls, football, perhaps some insight into a given professor or help with a class. Now I still talk to many of those same guys. The topics of conversation may be different, but the trust in my brothers was established years ago through our shared time together at the ATO house. And although sadly, the ATO house is no longer the house on the hill, the friendships and trusting relationships with my ATO brothers continue to this day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. To introduce our second inductee, Mr. Andy Kirk, please welcome Mr. Chris Pio, class of 1984.
Good morning. Great day to be a Fighting Scot. We all have flashpoints in our life, special events and memorable days, never to be forgotten moments that alter your future and set you on a path that you may not have expected. One of mine came in the fall of 2015 when my wife Bobby and I were invited to join the Monmouth College Alumni Board, and we attended our first board meeting on campus. Unexpectedly, into the room walked my good friend and my fraternity grandfather, Craig Dahlquist, who, to my surprise, was starting his tenure with that group at the same exact time. So I looked around the room and I saw a few familiar faces, but I also saw a name that I recognized on the placard scattered on the table, Andrew Kerr. And although I've never met this man before that day, I knew his place as one of our early chapter actives. Since my days as a pledge, when we were required to learn about our ancestors and the history of our fraternity as part of our initiation. The three of us, Craig, Andy, and me, we struck up a cordial conversation which has blossomed into a decade-long friendship, a bond that has gone beyond the boundaries of fraternity and college. And it is this bond that Bobby and I have forged and developed with Andy and Pam that has altered our life and changed our path in so many positive ways. When we all first started on the alumni board together, we were eager to contribute, perhaps maybe a bit too eager, for the liking of then President Jeff Miller and his successor Barry Corrigan, who constantly chided and scolded us for the noise and the chatter that came from the infamous and aptly ill-named Quiet Corner. Whether it was an amusing side conversation with Craig or Branch or Roy or Byron or Gene or me, or in delivering one of the serious policy guiding initiatives when he graduated from the corner to the president's chair, what has always impressed and inspired and remained constant is Andy's perception, his diligence, his wisdom, humor, calmness, and his focused dedication to the mission of securing the association as a relevant body at the college, to ensuring the college to be a thriving, successful institution, and now to the future of our local fraternity chapter. He stepped into the role of alumni board president as the school and the entire country were navigating through the ferocity of the COVID pandemic, a time of great disruption and uncertainty. But with energy and optimism, organization and enthusiasm, Andy orchestrated countless online Zoom calls to conduct our business as usual, scheduled meetings on time, and was always available to share ideas, swap stories, and offer advice. Those Zoom calls have now extended to his ZBT brethren, organizing regular personal opportunities to connect with some of his closest friends and reconnect and introduce people that had not talked to each other for years or ever before. And taking every chance to update alumni on the state of the college and of the award-winning accolades of our younger brothers. He even allowed this young man to join the ranks of the old guard and share wonderful hours of camaraderie, good-natured conversation, and genuine brotherhood. This sense of hospitality has extended into our personal lives, as we have shared concern and comfort in both times of triumph and tragedy. This morning, Andy might tell you of his high school wrestling exploits in Evanston, home of his beloved Northwestern University Wildcats. He might relate a few stories of learning to play golf and sail at the Michigan White Lake Yacht Club as a teenager, beginning a lifelong interest in both recreational activities. He might tell you something about his days as CFO, COO, and CEO of Lake Forest Academy in suburban Chicago, raising capital money for new construction and building improvements while shaping and molding young men into the leaders of tomorrow. Perhaps an anecdote or two from his days at Monmouth, where he was developing into one of those future leaders and living a carefree life in the Manor House on the corner of 6th and Broadway. Or he might rave about his many accomplishments with the Catalina Rotary Club in Tucson, following his retirement and subsequent move to Arizona, where he developed an affinity for another group of Wildcats. But what he won't tell you, and probably can't tell you about, is the profound impact that he has had on so many people, and how his presence and his personality have changed the lives of those fortunate to have crossed his path. His doggedness to improve the alumni board and Monmouth College, to provide leadership in a variety of career positions, to recognize and revel in the efforts of our chapter, to engage and to interact with past and current fraternity brothers, to ensure future generations of the same experience, including spearheading the current fundraising for the renovation of our new house on Broadway, have led to this most well-deserved honor. This unselfish contribution of time, treasure, and talent has been done with strength, grace, and unwavering resolve. For all he has done for Bobby and me as a counselor, as a companion, as a cheerleader in the last 10 years, for what he has done for his colleagues and his co-workers in the last 30, and for our young fraternity in its first 50, it is with tremendous pride and pleasure that I introduce for induction into the Monmouth College Order of Omega Hall of Fame my very dear friend, Mr. Andrew D. Kerr, class of 1973, Delta Lambda Chapter, Zeta Theta Tau.
I think we should just get a bottle and say thank you. Thank you for that very kind introduction, Chris. Thank you to the Order of Omega leadership. Thank you all for getting up early on a Saturday morning to join us. In thinking of why I was selected for this award, and I was truly shocked when it happened, I went back to the purpose statement of the Order of Omega and the supplement of the Delta Lambda chapter here. So indulge me, if you will, for a few minutes as I try to explain why I think I might be up here. When I arrived on this campus in the fall of 1969, there were 5 long-established fraternities on campus: Alpha Tau Omega, Theta Chi, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, Sigma Phi Epsilon, and Tau Kappa Epsilon. There were 4 sororities, with apologies to Pi Phi because they're a fraternity, Pi Beta Phi, Kappa Kappa Gamma, Kappa Delta, and Alpha Z Delta, and 1 new fraternity, Phi Epsilon Phi, founded at Monmouth College just a year earlier. Each had a personality and an image, and each was proud to defend theirs. Fraternities and sororities were a huge part of this campus. They were the center of the social scene and a primary source of leadership for organizations and activities on campus. It was where you wanted to be, and as a freshman on campus, especially where you wanted to be with your new friends from the dorm. Phi Epsilon Phi had a strong community focus. They had also begun a search for a national fraternity with which to associate. That fraternity was Zeta Beta Tau. As we were a very inclusive fraternity, ethnically, socially, racially, and in every other way, Phi Epsilon Phi was a good fit for ZBT. But I wasn't sure I was a good fit for them. So I stalled until the fall of my sophomore year, when Mike Hochstein, our rush chairman, pulled me aside and we talked. Mike said he knew I could do a lot for the fraternity, which certainly fed my ego. But then I realized the fraternity could do a lot for me. I was skeptical, but I ultimately became the last person to become a Phi Epsilon Phi pledge. We, at the time, called them affiliates. And I was the last Phi Epsilon Phi active member and a founding member of Delta Lambda chapter of Zeta Beta Tau in the spring of 1972. And I learned much about teamwork and cooperation and brotherhood and social justice. And I got involved on campus. First with the Special Events Committee of the Student Center Board, and ultimately as president of that board. And I helped to found the Monmouth College chapter of the National Psychology Honorary Psychi, and I became its first president, and I became chapter president, the first, of the Delta Lambda chapter of Zeta Beta Tau, as we went from colony to chapter status, and ultimately, I became a member of Blue Key on this campus. So yes, the maturation and the self-confidence that came from being a ZBT brother was instrumental in being active on campus and taking leadership roles. I even went on to receive an honorary mention for the 1972 ZBT Phil Goodman Award for Outstanding Leadership and Campus Involvement. I am proud to say that I'm the first member of Delta Lambda to have been honored by the National Fraternity, but I'm equally proud to say many have won the award and have gone on with the chapter to even greater awards nationally. After graduation, I went on to become active in the Delta Lambda, a fledgling Delta Lambda Alumni Association, as president for a couple of years. Interestingly, a year ago, I was brought back to reprise that role as in the Alumni Association once again, as we embark on a new challenge. Now, my professional career spanned 42 years, which is also an important attribute of the Order of Omega, as it's your involvement beyond the campus. I started in international banking in Chicago and New York, and that entailed a lot of international travel and reminded me that I shouldn't have been so worried about taking international history here at Monmouth College from Mary Crow. But thanks to Professor Dean Wright, I was confident in what I was doing. Professor Sam Thompson taught me how to use logic in my arguments. Professor Jim DeYoung's speech class prepared me for being a confident public speaker. With the confidence gained from Professor Gary Wilhart, I was even able to write a chapter in the first book ever published on international cash management. I taught at seminars in New York. I built the #1 international cash management consulting team for Citibank in the 1980s. But then we moved back to Chicagoland. And I was getting tired of being merged in and out of banks. I then went into technology and healthcare and helped to build another generation of leaders. And I wound up going through another round of mergers. And of course, life intervened. But I remained active, this time in the Illinois St. Andrew Society in Chicago, the oldest chartered charity in the state of Illinois. And I have been a governor of that organization for 32 years and spent a year there as their chairman. And then I became the CFO at Lake Forest Academy. a leading college prep school north of Chicago, and I remembered how exciting it was to be on a campus. All this time, I was attending Monmouth College alumni events around Chicago and in Tucson, Arizona. Fred Wackerly, class of 1961, and a teak, and a good friend, and a winter resident, encouraged me to sponsor the Tucson alumni reception, which allowed him to retire from that role. When I was invited to submit my application for the Monmouth College Alumni Board, I jumped at the chance to give back, and I spent 10 years on the board, 4 of them as president. What struck me on the board was the camaraderie of the board members and both rekindling friendships and making new friends of younger alumni, especially ZBTs, who were members of the board. When you come from the 1970s and you're a founder of your fraternity, everyone seems younger than you are. Along the way, I retired from working, spent a year as an owner's rep building a $3 million memory care facility for the St. Andrew Society, and then following the lead of my wife, Pam, I became active in Rotary International, the worldwide service organization. I was treasurer of our club for the past 7 years and was president for one of those. And I'm still an active member in Tucson. When ZBT's Delta Lambda chapter was informed that the school was selling Founders Village and the house had to relocate, I became more involved with the Delta Lambda Alumni Association. I'm now serving as president and one of the chief fundraisers for the soon-to-be new fraternity house at 903 East Broadway. Having spent undergraduate fraternity years in the Manor, now the Bonnie Bondurant Alumni House, I am partial to old houses on Broadway with fabulous handcrafted details, rich woods, and our new house will be a great home for our brothers, our history, and our future. So if there's a message I can share with students, it is to give fraternities and sororities a chance. They can do marvelous things for you, and you can do marvelous things for them, and you can make friendships that last a lifetime. And you will continue making new friendships your whole life with younger and older alumni that you meet at homecomings, parties, reunions, and at your house at 903 East Broadway. You are all brothers and sisters, no matter when you graduate. To the college, as a proud member of the 1853 Society, I ask you to continue to understand that fraternities and sororities can be a powerful force for good on campus. Another learning activity, an opportunity for young people to find themselves, find fellowship, and brother and sisterhood. The Greek system helps to keep them in school, at Monmouth, and results in loyal and supportive alumni. To my fraternity brothers of 50 years, thank you for our ongoing lifetime of friendship and brotherhood. You have so enriched my life. We may go several years without speaking, but when we do, it's as if no time has passed. To my younger Delta Lambda alumni brothers, and to the actives, I enjoy getting to know you and spending time with you every year. To my fellow alumni board members, thank you for the opportunity to serve the college as your fellow board member and to serve you as board president. To the alumni office, thank you for all you do. Understaffed and underfunded, you support the alumni in the administration of this great college. To all of you out there, Order of Omega is an award that I will cherish. It was a surprise to be selected, and frankly, it makes me think of other Delta Lambda brothers who have done so much to support Delta Lambda and Monmouth College and are very deserving of this award. Thank you to my wife of 49 years as of Friday, Pam, who has supported my many charitable and time-consuming endeavors as I have supported hers. Thank you to those who nominated me. Thank you to those who saw fit to honor me with this award. It's great to be a Scot.
Thank you very much, Andy. To introduce our final inductee, Mrs. Kristen Wise Wagner, please welcome Mrs. Karen Overzalik, Monmouth's very own Dean of Students and Vice President for Student Affairs.
Good morning and congratulations to all the award winners today. I was not lucky enough to go to an institution that had Greek life on its campus, but I started working at Monmouth College, and as we've heard many times throughout the weekend, Monmouth has a magic to it, and the magic allowed me to be initiated into the Alpha Psi Delta chapter at Monmouth College, the Beta Epsilon chapter, when it recolonized in '97. And some of those people are here today, and that is why I'm here. So, good morning. And when I think of the many ways that membership in a Greek organization can affect one's life, leadership, compassion, collaboration, integrity, respect. These are the characteristics that come to mind, and the ones that we hope our students gain from their experiences. These are the traits Kristen developed through her involvement, although she had a solid head start in those traits she instilled in others. When she matriculated, she was not thinking about joining a sorority, and she didn't her first year. But her second year was different. Once she joined Alpha Psi Delta, it was only the beginning of the legacy she left not only to the chapter, but the greater community of Monmouth College. What did you call it, Kristen? The gateway drug to leadership? But seriously, Kristen was a leader who left an impact. Whether it was during her years building relationships through counseling and programming as an RA in Greer or Founders Village, educating others as a Latin tutor, any one of the many honorary organizations she actively participated in performing philanthropy and service, or as an officer and eventual president of the Beta Epsilon chapter, leading a very talented group of women. She was a role model and inspiration to those around her, all with that award-winning smile. Serving as a chapter advisor throughout Kristen's membership was an honor. I was able to witness firsthand Kristen, thought I'd make it, realizing her potential in all her leadership positions, especially the year she was president, which was also the year that the house opened up and Alpha Psi Delta got their house. Frankly though, she made my job very easy, but she wasn't finished yet. Kristen went on to earn her master's degree in college student personnel at Western Illinois University. As a student affairs professional, when a student understands the value of student development or co-curricular experiences enough to want to make it a career, it's heartwarming and actually very validating. During her master's program, she met her husband, Craig. Upon graduation, she went on to work in student activities at Simpson College. Thanks to Facebook, yes, I actually said that, we were all able to see the moment Craig asked her the important question, beautifully captured, pre-arranged with a friend. Great event planning, Craig. It wasn't long until Kristen began working for Alpha Psi Delta Fraternity headquarters in educational programs, where she wrote Inspire, the undergraduate chapter educational programming manual. She worked closely with the Director of Education and Leadership, the position she now holds, with the planning of the Founders Academy, the fraternity's premier leadership program for chapter presidents and emerging leaders. In 2016 and 2018, she led the Academy. It was here that our paths almost crossed once again when she asked me to serve as a facilitator. We didn't get to see each other that summer because the beautiful Opal was born that year, right before the Academy, and she couldn't travel to Maryland. And then Callum rounded out their family of 4 a few years later. It was her vision for that program and the influence it would have on the undergraduate Alpha Psi Delta leaders that AFA The Association for Fraternity Sorority Advisor Association awarded it the Best Program Award. This past year, Kristen earned the coaching certificate for Clifton Strengths, which is the focus for the Founders Academy participants. Our founders would be proud of the woman Kristen has and continues to become by realizing her potential through the ideals of sisterhood, leadership, knowledge, and our service to community. I am pleased and proud to introduce my sister, Kristen Weiswagner, one of our 2024 inductees into the Fraternity and Sorority Life Hall of Fame.
Thanks a lot, Karen. I'm starting. Excuse me. Thank you, Karen. I have more to say about you later, so I'll save it for then. I am truly humbled and honored to receive this recognition, especially alongside my fellow inductees. I'm immensely grateful for this honor and to be able to represent Alpha Delta, an organization that means so much to me, and my Beta Epsilon chapter. I made two of the best decisions of my life at the start of my college career. The first was choosing Monmouth College. The second was joining Alpha Delta. As Karen already alluded, joining a sorority was not at the top of my list when I got here. As a first-generation college student, I had no direct knowledge about what sororities and fraternities were like beyond what I saw in the media, and I had no desire to jump in there. As I watched my friends in Fulton Hall go through formal recruitment those first few weeks of school, I was not only not interested, but I was 100% sure it was not for me. I had a great freshman year, and I developed a solid group of friends, many who would eventually join Alpha Delta as well, and they're still my lifelong friends. During that first year, I just sat back and observed the fraternity and sorority community here at Monmouth. Slowly but surely, I saw this experience was not what I had expected. Still, no one was able to convince me to join that year. Sophomore year rolled around, and the Alpha Deltas in my life were gently prodding me to give recruitment a try. By then, I had so many Alpha Deltas in my circle who I looked up to and enjoyed being around that I had really no good reasons left to say no, so I gave it a try, but not until continuous open bidding rolled around, so informal recruitment. Formal recruitment still scared me. As I'm standing here now, you know how that recruitment story ends. Upon joining, I decided I just wanted to enjoy the experience. Like, I'm gonna be a general member. I definitely don't want any leadership positions. LOL. It turns out folks in Alpha Delta had a different plan for me. So an officer election rolled around. I got a call asking if I would accept the position of Panhellenic delegate, which in Alpha Delta is actually on our executive committee. It's safe to say I did not feel prepared or qualified to take that on. My sisters and our chapter advisor at the time, Karen, encouraged me and shared all the reasons of why they thought I could do a good job. And I eventually accepted. Then just as the spring semester rolled around, I was supposed to start that role, I got another call saying the person who had been elected as programs vice president, unfortunately, did not meet the GPA requirement that semester. And would I be willing to take on that position instead? Again, I was very apprehensive and had little to no idea of what that position took on. But my sisters and Karen again saw something in me that I could not yet see, and I said yes. I don't think it's any coincidence that Alpha Delta's vision is inspiring women to realize their potential. It's evident to me that Karen and those sisters making those decisions embody that vision now, and they still do. It's just really irritating to have big feelings. They gave me the push that I needed. The next year I became president, and in general, Alpha Delta, as Karen already said, was my gateway drug to involvement, or perhaps chronic over-involvement. By my junior year rolled around, I had joined chorale, I was a Latin tutor, resident assistant, career assistant, and all the other things. And Karen provided mentorship and guidance throughout that year that was so impactful. Where she really shined was her ability to give me the structure and validation to help me know that I was capable, pushing me when needed, and ultimately providing the space and autonomy to lead in my own way. I learned so much from the sisters in my chapter, especially the members I was lucky enough to serve on the executive committee with. I won't list them all, we'll be here all day. I found the areas that I excelled in when it came to leadership and where I still had room for growth. As graduation crept up on me, I had to figure out my next step. I originally started as a history and education major here, dropped the education major pretty quickly, and by that time I picked up a classics major and Latin minor, a first sign in faculty and staff convincing you to do things you didn't expect to do in the first place. But I wasn't sure what my next step would be. Karen was the first person to suggest a career in student affairs, which was not on my radar. I honestly hadn't even realized that that was an option or a real job, but of course it was her job, so like, I spent time researching and having conversations with her and other folks on campus, and by my senior year, I was set on that as my graduate school focus. It was the first time I felt like I had found a career that felt like the right fit for me. I graduated, went to Western Illinois University, met my now husband, Craig. Spent a few years doing student activities and fraternity sorority advising on another college campus, and all came full circle when I started working at Alpha Psi Delta Fraternity headquarters, and now serve as a director of education leadership. It felt like the perfect fit. I was able to use expertise I had in continuing to work with students, develop curriculum, and create transformative learning experiences, things I'm very passionate about, but specifically for Alpha Psi Deltas. After nearly 9 years working for our fraternity headquarters, I like to joke that I am a professional sorority woman. I joined and I never really left. One of our focuses when it comes to how we approach leadership education is centering it on the individual. Each person already holds innate strengths in them. In turn, when they're honing those strengths, they're going to grow themselves, and then that's going to impact everyone around them, including their chapter, campus, community, beyond. I'm committed to the transformative experiences that fraternities and sororities can provide. Hence why I've been working in this field since I graduated. The growth I saw in myself as an unsure young freshman in college is the same growth I'm fortunate enough to foster with so many different members and folks and college students. I can say firsthand in working with so many different campuses and communities in the last 14 years that they truly do not make fraternity sorority communities like Monmouth's everywhere. That's not to say there aren't some really special places and great communities, but what Monmouth has really is rare. It's not just the rich history of having founding organizations here, while that certainly holds value and forms our foundation. I really don't believe that's the only thing that makes us unique and special. The fraternity sorority experience here is powerful because of who Monmouth was and who Monmouth is at its core. The profound support from faculty, staff, and administration for this experience is really not to be underestimated. It is not like that everywhere. I don't have enough time to truly share how formative and just plain enjoyable my experience as an undergraduate member in Alpha Psi Delta was. Big highlights that Karen already highlighted: being president when we were able to get our first house, initiating 2 women I deeply admire, staff member Stephanie Kincaid, former staff member Rhonda Hall, into our sisterhood. They also served as advisors for some time. Really fun to initiate full-grown adults when you're an undergraduate member. Feels really cool. And also visiting with our alumna, Isabel Marshall, and hearing her stories of our founder, Alice Bartlett Bruner, who she knew personally. As I look back on my time at Monmouth and Alpha Psi Delta, all of these seemingly small decisions at the time steadily affected my life's path. I wholeheartedly believe that I would not have the life I have if it weren't for all of the encouragements, pushes, challenges, and deep care I received from Karen, Stephanie, my sisters, and so many other faculty and staff here. I don't have enough time to name them all, but there's a lot. I believe without a doubt that if I had not joined Alpha Psi Delta, not only would I have not found my career, but most importantly, it would not have led me down the journey that led me to meet Craig, my husband, and subsequently have our children, who are, in my opinion, the 2 best kids on the planet, Opal and Callum. To any current members here today, not just my Alpha Psi Delta gals, as cliche as it may sound, what you put into your chapter experience truly is what you will get out of it. If I had given the effort I'd originally planned when I stepped in those doors, when I joined, I would have missed out on so many wonderful opportunities, experiences, and the life I have. Again, thank you so much for this honor. I'm so honored to be here with all of you, so honored to see how Beta Upsilon continues to grow and thrive, and I hope to continue to live up to it through my career and my service on the alumni board. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kristen. And thank you all for sharing your thoughts, memories, and words of wisdom with us today. Olympic track and field athlete Jesse Owens, who is also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, once said, "Awards become corroded. Friends gather no dust." While the awards and the plaques are certainly nice, it's not why we're here today. We're here to celebrate the friendships you all have made as members of your chapters. Friendships that last a lifetime and that are so hard to find. Membership in fraternity and sorority life isn't just about your years here at Monmouth, and I hope the touching messages from our honorees have further affirmed that in your minds. For that, let us offer our inductees one final round of applause. With that, our ceremony is concluded. Happy homecoming, everyone, and after the count of 3, can I get a roll, Scouts, from everyone?